My son's just cracked a joke there. Apparently we're doing speed now and he's told me I have to speed it up a bit. Right, so let's get through speed a bit quicker. So we're now on to part 4 of the system now, speed. Alright, this previous one was looking at the appropriate position for approaching a hazard. Remember, this is the green zone. That was your position, being in the right position. Now we're going to look at being in the right speed, which was the green speed if you remember. Red is too fast or too slow. Amber, you're getting close but not quite. Green, that's it. We're in the right speed. So we're going to have to set up the appropriate speed for approach to the hazard. We're also going to be at the appropriate speed going through the hazard, of course, and the appropriate speed coming out. But we're talking about setting up here on the approach to the hazard. Don't forget this is the hazard here. This is the bend. This is the setup to get there. So, speed. You should always approach every bend or every hazard at a speed that would allow you to stop within the distance that you can see to be clear whilst remaining on your side of the road. So you'll notice I've got that one at the very top there, alright? So stop within the distance that you can see to be clear whilst remaining on your side of the road. Now, the same could be said for riding the fog and the mist, for example. You must be able to ride at a speed that you can stop, no point flying along and then suddenly here's all the brake lights, the car stationary and you're flying at the back of them. It's the same with approaching a bend and going through a bend. If your vision's reducing, your speed needs to reduce, alright? So there's that one. Next one, appropriate for the road, the traffic and the weather conditions. So when you approach a bend here, when I say the traffic and the weather conditions, we're talking specifically about a bend here. I think you appreciate that the tighter a bend is, the slower I'm going to approach that bend. So there's a factor. If there's vehicles in front of me determining my speed on approach, there's a factor. If I've got road surface conditions that I'm dealing with, there's a factor. If I've got maybe weather conditions as I'm approaching that's wet, for example, heavy rain, my visibility is reduced, etc, etc. So my speed approaching any bend and my speed approaching any hazard should always be a speed that's appropriate to the road, the traffic, the weather conditions. Alright. Next one, your ability. Well, that's a very, very important one. Some riders can approach bends faster than others and still be very comfortable and safe getting through that bend. Other riders maybe not so comfortable. I uploaded a video fairly recently where you see the rider going at the bend, the rider's not comfortable leaning the bike at all, and you'll see that the speed that rider goes in, it's just too much for that rider's capability, and that rider, because they're not leaning enough, is running wide in the bends, and in one part of the video runs that wide, he almost wipes out the cyclist that has just undertaken him and ends up on the completely wrong side of the road. So your ability is going to be a huge factor on the speed that you can enter any bend at. If you've got limited leaning capability, it's going to limit your speed, simple as that. The bike's ability. Well, to be honest, most bikes can probably outhandle the rider. In fact, there's been a lot of times when I've seen people getting themselves, not so much on my courses, but just in general, because I wouldn't allow it to happen, but just in general, seeing riders on YouTube videos and films getting themselves in all sorts of bother. I can tell you now that 9 times out of 10, in fact probably 99 times out of 100, when the motorcycle and rider crashes, the rider probably wasn't exceeding the capability of the bike. The bike's probably sitting underneath going, it's yawning, because it could lean further, it could probably got more grip, it could probably go faster. It's usually the rider's ability that's used up first before the bike's ability. But there are some instances where the bike's ability is a factor. For example, you might have a cruiser, very low cruiser, with pegs that are sticking out quite a bit, and it's going to limit your ability to lean around the corner. So the last thing you want to do is throw that bike into the corner and then find out that the undercarriage is grinding out, effectively lifting the contact patch and making the bike unstable. So the bike can have an effect. The brakes, for example, some bikes brake better than others, but we're now starting to push a bit harder here when we're starting to get to the outer limits of a bike's ability. Let's not forget, most of the manufacturers design bikes that are fit for purpose. It's as simple as that. What could limit a bike's ability more is going back to what I said here, poor maintenance. That's more likely to limit it. Now, next one here, appropriate and correct use of the brakes, the throttles and the gears. Well, that's very, very important. It's all tied in with the speed here. Knowing how to use your brakes properly. You don't always need to use the brakes. Sometimes approaching a bend, for example, you just use acceleration sense, which is the ability to control the speed of the motorcycle through the throttle, being an appropriate gear, and which we've got here, and basically controlling the speed of the motorcycle on approach to the bend, through the bend and out the bend. Alright, so the correct use of the throttle combined with correct use of the gears and the brakes. There are times when you need to brake, there are times when you don't need to brake. There's times when you're braking firmer, and there's sometimes I say when you're just not braking at all. But you always need to be in the correct gear, the optimum gear, which we'll talk a little bit more down here, and we should always be using our throttle correctly as well, which we call acceleration sense. Time to go, time to slow, time to maintain. Finally, looking at speed here is lean angle, tire grip trade-off. I've just put this one in here. That the faster you go around any given radius or curve or bend, then the further over you're going to have to lean. If you've got a gentle curve and bend and you're going fairly slow, then you're going to hardly have any lean. You can even be going fast through a gentle curve and bend and hardly have any lean. So the factors are that the faster you go, the more you're going to have to lean around any given bend, and the tighter a bend is, the more you're going to have to lean for a given speed. So you need to be aware of that, and that's relationship with speed. And of course that's all tied in with what I've got here, the tyre grip trade-off. In other words, how much grip's actually available and how far over can this bike lean, and more importantly, how far over am I prepared to lean? And can I stop within a distance I can see to be clear? So that is all tied in with speed. There you go.